When I see people who are happy about what's going on in Palestine, which to me means that they're clearly pro-Zionist, right? And this isn't about being pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. It's about being pro-life. A lot of people would claim to be pro-life when it comes to abortion laws and things of that nature, but then these same people and their children will go and take to online, take to social media, and express their joy at what's happening in Gaza right now, which is very unfortunate. This is very scary but it's also a result of American politics. It's very scary because whenever you push and promote death and hate, it it's one of those things that's like a smell, right? Once it fills the room, it gets on everybody. You know what I'm saying? You can't just think that you can be hateful in a situation and not take on the personality of being hateful. Once that stink is on you, it follows you. So, I mean, a prime example of this is the way that the American agenda pushes hip hop and rap and music, and it destroys our community in a sense where our youth are killing each other. That spills over into other communities because I'm certain that a lot of that hate is what causes on the other side these school shootings and things of that nature, and nobody feels safe. So even if you live in a different neighborhood, this culture will follow you, just like that stink follow you. A lot of people often like to say that if women ruled the world, there wouldn't be any wars, but I disagree, and I disagree because the nature of people is that whenever you are in a state of a severe weakness, whenever you get a chance to feel powerful, it can corrupt you much easier. See, a lot of Americans don't really know true weakness, or they don't recognize when they're at their weakest, and or they don't experience that often because of American privilege. But being in a marginalized community, you often are put in situations where you're extremely weak, and America is also good at perpetuating a false sense of power. And I mentioned this before, like a gun can make you feel powerful, but it doesn't make you powerful. It just makes you feel powerful. And I think women are in a unique situation because a lot of times, if you'll see a lot of little kids online in Israel and America who are pushing this hate. They're taught this, right? And kids, that's part of their innocence, where they kind of take on the personalities and the characteristics of the influence of their surrounding, because family members and politics or whatever. And this, when you teach them, oh, never be weak again, you're instilling the fear in them that they were weak before, even if they didn't realize that you were weak. So it's an insecurity. It's a seed of insecurity that you plant, right? Now, women are unique in the sense that women in society historically have always been in a position of weakness, and it's only until you know true power do you know the responsibility that comes along with it. Often powerful men, are put in a situation where they are forced to hurt people that they don't want to. When you think about men who join the military, boys who grow up in street gangs, they don't when they do that first initial thing to initiate themselves in a gang, it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll see it in movies where people catch their first body and they traumatized by it, and only until they do it over and over again do they get used to that feeling. And that's when you understand, when you're in that position, you really understand the true sense of power, right? Men are often put in that situation because we have we are put in a different responsibility when it comes to society. Now, women have this experience as well, but it's different. See, a woman has a natural position of, or I don't want to say natural, societal position of weakness, because most societies are patriarchal. But when they give birth, you know, they experience a severe sense of weakness, but then a severe sense of power after that. You know what I'm saying? And they understand the power that they're giving them, that Allah give them, and it comes with a sense of responsibility. That's why women tend to be a lot more responsible in general, but then especially after they have children. Men as well, but especially women, because they understand the dynamic of that power. We all know the saying, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And just like the woman who brings a life into the world, and a man who is forced to either take a life or whether it's in defense or offense, is a similar dynamic. And this brings me back to my original point. It's very dangerous to have people this detached from this type of atrocity, right? This American privilege makes us believe that this can't happen to us and all these different things. And we can sit behind a keyboard and talk about how other people should handle the lives of innocent people. And it creates an inner demon. It's planting a seed for hate. And it's also planting a seed for hate against you. So when you perpetuate hate, you plant a seed. And then you plant the seed against yourself to then have that hate come back upon you. And we see this every day when we see the anti-Semitism, quote unquote, and then we see the Islamophobia increasing because of this. It's just an action and a reaction. Now, this is not because the Muslims are putting out hate. It's because the people who feel like Israel have a responsibility to defend themselves, and who are following this rhetoric are then putting out the hate, and in turn, that's making these victims hate the people who hate them, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It was a man who called up to the show, and he talked about the birth of Boko Haram and how it was an atrocious act carried out by a group who then, when those children, who let the children survive, and when the children survived, they got together and Boko Haram was created. And same thing with Hamas, and same thing with Nazi Germany, and the same thing with, every person who justified genocide or justify these atrocious actions. And until we all come to our senses and realize that we're not impervious to this, the same thing that we put out can come back to us, and that we have a responsibility to be vocal about the preservation of life. It don't matter what side you on. At the end of the day, if you can't if you can't trust the people that are in charge of carrying out this revenge to afford the civilians the basic human dignity that every human should have, then they can't be entrusted with the power to exact justice, because they'll never be just. They're already biased. If you've been taught from a little kid that Palestinians are evil and animals and can't be trusted and are ferocious and they did this to your ancestors and they did that, even though all of this is mistargeted, they should really take that back to Germany, but they would never do that because they don't feel true strength. They feel a false sense of strength that's given to them by money, and money is just a tool. And once that tool is taken from you, you're back in the same position, except for now you have new enemies. That's the worst thing for you. But may Allah, soften the hearts of everybody involved and allow us to open our eyes to the truth of justice versus injustice.